Welcome to the City Show. I'm your host, Dr. Tom Krieger. This week on the City Show, our friends from La Comedia Dinner Theater are back to talk about their current production, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which just has a few weeks to run. Donna Cox is back, and this time she's telling us about a chocolate walk right here in Lebanon. That sounds yummy. But our first guest, not a stranger to the show, is Beth Gully and Lyla. Beth is a local artist, graphic artist, and Lyla is a budding artist. And Beth is the author of a few children's books, one on the market that look at both sides of the Easter story, and we're going to be talking about a new one as well. Welcome to the City Show.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, explain what you do as a graphic artist.
Okay, well, as a graphic designer, I create logos and brands for businesses. And what I found through the years after doing some of that I had an ability to create images that could flip upside down. Yeah. So it's like making every line matter like it does for a logo.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's some of the work that we can see around town that you might have done?
Well, let's see. I did the Four Paws logo.
Okay. Great job.
That's one of my favorites. It was printed in an international book for mythology, as well as the Lebanon Conference and Banquet Center. Okay. I did their logo. And I've done others around the area, like over in Westchester, the Voice of America. That's my handwriting on the wall with the fountain in front of it.
And where do you get your artistic training?
I went to the University of Kentucky, and I got my degree in visual communication design. And they work you hard, and I learned how to make every line matter, every shape have a meaning, and to work hard and fast, and to get it done.
What led you to choose this field?
I always could draw. It was something that I could do when I was Lyla's age, and I would win poster contests in school, and that's kind of what let me realize that I had an ability that was maybe a little higher than the other students in the class or even in the school. And so that was an easy decision when I went to school to study art, because I knew that it was a natural talent.
Okay, now speaking of talent, you have a talent for something called ambigrams.
Yes.
Can you tell us what an ambigram is?
Okay, good. So an ambigram is a picture or a word that you can flip upside down or invert it, and it becomes something different. Okay. Most of the ones that I do tend to be words or pictures. Yeah. My first one happened to be a word, and it happened by accident. Do you want me to tell you that story?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was working on my Christmas card like I would do every year, and this particular year I thought, well, I'll just write Happy Holiday real pretty and make it look like a snowflake, right? And when I came back from lunch, it had fallen on the floor. And when I picked it up, and I have a sample here, I'll pull it up.
Let's see what you got.
So it's the word happy.
I see that.
And when you flip it upside down, it becomes the word holiday.
Wow.
I'll flip it back over.
How neat is that?
So it's 5 letters going to 7 letters.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily about the letter count. It's about how the letter form shape works and how you can connect it with other parts to make the other word happen.
Okay.
So
what's the history on that? When did the ambigram first come about?
Well, the first one that I'm aware of was back in the 1700s with Topsy-Turvy. And that was a book that flipped upside down in a character. And then in the early 1900s, a person created an ambigram with the word chump. And it was in cursive, and so it said chump one way and chump the other way. And everyone was convinced that was the only word in the language, in the English language, that could do that. And since then, they've learned that that's not true. Okay. And in the late 70s, 2 other designers were doing a lot of ambigrams, and they actually gave the ambigram a name, and they named it the ambigram for, I guess, ambidextrous, and then gram for picture.
That makes sense.
And one of them is John Langdon, and he's gone on to do the Da Vinci Code movies, all of those ambigrams that are in the movie for fire, water, earth, so.
Now you're one of 91?
94.
People, 94.
94
people have this
in the
skill.
world. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I found that out because I was printed in a book,
Yeah.
an international book that recognized ambigram designs. And it's cool because it listed Beth Gully
Yeah.
as USA, not Cincinnati or Ohio, or Lebanon. So that was pretty cool. So.
And you discovered this. We were talking earlier, passing notes. You saw things differently than most people.
I did, yeah.
Kind of backwards, and you might have been, in our day and age, you might have been labeled, you got a learning disability.
Probably.
But it was really a gift. And
I've turned it into a gift.
You would pass notes in school backwards?
Yeah, in junior high.
That's
Don't
funny.
listen, Lyla.
Yeah.
I would write notes to my girlfriends, and I didn't want the teacher to see it, or if she did, I didn't want her to be able to read it. So I would write backwards. And I'm not sure how I learned how to do that. I know there's been weathermen on TV that write backwards, and it could have come from trying to figure out what they were doing and then, finding that was fun. I love puzzles, so I think that's all a part of my enjoyment in creating ambigrams.
Now, your latest book is about Easter, but I don't want to get into that until we show the folks the other side of Christmas.
Oh, great.
When was this book released?
Okay, The Other Side of Christmas was released in 2014, and it took 8 years to get it done, mostly because, the sketches...
self-published?
I did self-publish, yes.
It's a lot of work.
I got most of it done within the first couple of years, but then when I started to do the final art for it, I was concerned that I wasn't going to make it as good as it could be, and I couldn't find another illustrator that had time to do it. So
can you show us some of the stuff there?
So it flips over to the shepherds in the manger.
Wow.
And
that's fantastic.
And so once I realized that I needed to be the artist to do the final art, I sat on it for a few years. So, I try to teach kids in schools, to be brave and bold and not be afraid to do the things that you're actually gifted in.
So does it talk about the story of Christmas in different perspectives, or?
No, it just goes through some of the traditions of the holiday. And then, like here we have, you're putting ornaments on the tree.
Yeah.
And then when you flip it over, now you have the three wise men.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
But when you go through the book all the way through in one direction, I had it upside down. You go through it all the way through. It's just the traditions of the holiday. And then when you get to the end, there's a turnaround page. And that's what helps you realize that you're supposed to turn the book upside down. So that way you don't have to know. If you give it as a gift, they don't have to know. It can be a surprise. And now you go back through, and the angel tells Mary that she's going to have a baby. And then Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem. And that one before was Santa flying overhead.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you all see that? Yeah.
It's
amazing, and these ideas came to me so fast. in under 3 minutes at dinner one night, I did the first 2 sketches, and I thought, oh my gosh, I think there's a book to be made. So that was pretty exciting.
Now this one's published in Spanish too, I understand.
It is in Spanish, yes.
Wow. So you're reaching other cultures, and
so I'm able to. I get involved with posadas in the area, and then I've sent them down to. Nicaragua, Guatemala, and St. Jude's Hospital. What's interesting, because they took 50 books, and the majority of them they wanted Spanish, and I found that interesting. But I'm glad to know that the children at Christmas can have a fun book to read, to give them hope, at a time when maybe they're feeling a little hopeless.
And then the natural progression from this is the other side of Easter.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have?
This is the new book. This is the one that just came out. I released it the end of November.
Well, that's a bunny rabbit.
It is a bunny rabbit, but if you turn it upside down,
it's Jesus.
There's a picture of Jesus. It's a little hard to see, but he's in a white robe.
Now, I understand Lily made some additions to this, right?
Lyla did.
Or Lyla, I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah. So when she and I were sitting together, we were babysitting, and I started drawing, and I was working on this particular picture. And I'm going to grab this one instead because it's a little easier to see.
She gave Nanny some tips.
She did. Yeah. So when I turned it upside down, she didn't quite recognize or see the picture of Jesus. And that's because he didn't look as recognizable in this picture. He didn't have a dark beard on his chin, and he didn't have eyes.
Yeah.
And those
Good
were
job.
Lila's ideas.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. And the minute, because I asked her, I said, okay, what will make it look more like Jesus? And I also had, for the bunny, I had more of an oval mouth to be a halo. And so she thought it was an angel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice
so
to
I
get
made
some other perspective.
I made the mouth more of a little smile.
So she thinks like you think.
She does.
You pass the notes in school too to your friends?
No.
All right. You got to watch that.
Good answer.
Yeah. And what is the age group as far as the target for the for the
I would
books?
say anywhere from preschool to 4th or 5th grade.
Okay.
I think that the older kids can enjoy the whole mind blown, you know, of the images turning upside down. But the younger kids enjoy it because it's a fun story. It's all in poetry and rhyming, kind of Dr. Seuss-like. So it's kind of fun for them to read.
And where do we get the book?
The books are available. You can get them online on my website, or you can go to Amazon. You can go to Belong Christian Bookstores, and I'll actually be doing a book reading there on March 30th.
Is that the new store in Mason?
It is.
Okay.
It's down by the Kroger.
Okay, fantastic.
Wonderful store.
Yeah.
And so they've got the books, and then the Golden Lamb here in Lebanon has them.
Okay.
Except the gift shop's closed right now. I forgot. So they're over at Catherine's Gifts.
Okay.
Picture This, and several other stores in town.
And you have some book signing events scheduled for the near future, I understand?
I do, yes. So Belong Christian Bookstore is one.
Here we got a list right up there.
On March 30th,
Yeah.
I do. I'm going to be at Lebanon Christian School for a chapel visit. So if you have kids in the school, that's April 3rd. And then Lebanon Presbyterian Church has an Easter extravaganza, and that is on April 6th, and that goes from 10 to noon. So I'm going to be doing consecutive readings back to back.
Okay.
So celebrate local and mulberry books. I'll be there on April 13th, and then many more, Joseph, Beth, and on. So would love to sign books, meet people, share my story.
So what's the reaction with the kids? Is it kind of like a what? I mean, do they light up when you flip it around? And
They do,
Yeah.
yeah.
I bet you get a charge out of that.
They do, yeah.
Does it take some of them a little bit longer?
Some of them do. I found the
It took me a little bit of time on some of them, but
Yeah.
I was turning them the wrong way.
I know.
Because
I know.
you also have little cards
I do.
that I think are just fabulous. Like on this one, it says faith, and then I turned it the wrong way again,
It's a puzzle.
and it says doubt.
It does say
Yeah.
doubt, yes.
Yeah, it is a puzzle.
It is
Yeah.
a puzzle.
And this one, I like this one quite a bit. It says worry on that side, and then you flip it around, it's worry on that side, and you flip it around, and it says prayer.
I designed that one sitting in church.
Okay.
The pastor said, worry is prayer in reverse.
Wow.
And a little flag went off in
Yeah.
my head. And the next thing I knew, I was doodling on my bulletin. And it took me about 10 minutes. That was probably the fastest one I had ever done at that, at that time. And I remember sharing it with the pastor afterwards because I wanted him to know that I was listening. I wasn't just,
Wandering off.
just doodling. And he was like, yeah, can you get like 300 of those by next Sunday? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. No idea how I was going to do it,
Yeah.
and so it just kind of took off from there. So now I've got 8 different cards with different messages on them, and I think they make people feel better.
Yeah.
I think sometimes a picture's 1,000 words. It's the universal language.
How about nursing homes? You go to nursing homes?
I do, yes.
Yeah, because they would probably need the encouragement and the hope. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
I even took some down to the Lindner Center. I've been to an Alzheimer's unit.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how I think every age group can appreciate the ambigrams, whether you're a little kid and you can't read yet, to senior citizens.
Yeah. Well, this obviously is a calling for you, and it sounds like a ministry because you're offering encouragement to people, and Lyla, you got the gift too, right? So she's gonna be writing some books maybe down the road. What's next? Anything stirring for you, Beth, as far as future gifts? Do you just kind of seek his wisdom on that?
I do. Yeah, I'm just kind of clearing my plate
Yeah.
and waiting to see what's next.
Okay.
hopefully I'll be faster than 8 years. The 8 years it took to get my first book done, you know.
Yeah. The first one's always the hardest one.
I
Now,
think
what
so.
about the publisher now? You self-published on the first one.
Correct. I self-published on this one as well.
Oh my goodness.
I did reach back out to, I can't think of the name, but
That's
it was a
okay.
publisher, and they said no, but they liked the concept,
Yeah.
but there was something that didn't resonate with them. It
Okay.
didn't fit their pipeline. So
Probably the graphics, because they just wanted it easy to be printed, and
I guess,
you know,
yeah.
you're more artistic. Is there anything else that we need to cover? That we
Well-
do a good job talking about this talent? How much do you help Grandma? Does she look at? Are you like the editor? Does she put her stuff and get your feedback?
A little.
Okay. Well, it looks
We
like you
did
did.
a neat
You
ambigram.
did a great job on that one, and you have an ambigram too. Can you hold that up real quick? So that's a mermaid coming out of the water, and then flip it around, Lyla, and now the mermaid's going in, and those clouds turned into
Pufferfish.
pufferfish. That's beautiful. Yeah, you definitely have the gift. Well, Lyla, Beth, thank you so much for being on the show, and we look forward to that next book. And make sure you check her out at her book signings.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
And the next one's coming up when?
March 30th at
Okay.
Belong Christian Bookstores.
Okay. Well, go out there and check out her book and get it. You get it signed.
Yes,
Yeah.
you bet.
Well, Beth, thanks. Lyla, thanks. Hey, we'll be back with our guests from La Comedia Dinner Theater right after this break.